All right, and welcome back to live streaming with Core Team Hawaii and Moving to Hawaii on YouTube and the Hawaii Real Estate Podcast because we got that going. Debbie's gonna be uploading that to all the different podcast platforms. So this will be re-syndicated there. But as always, go to coreteamhawaii.com, scroll to the bottom here, fill out this contact form.
Let me mute.
Kenny fail.
My bad.
Go to coreteamhawaii.com, go to the bottom, fill out the contact form if you have any real estate needs. We're thumping on the listings. We're bringing like a listing a week up. And that inspired the conversation today to spill a little tea, talk a little back end, let you guys hear some of the conversation around multiple offers. And we have another Waikiki one coming in a week or so. I think that one's super cool because you can walk right out of your door and within minutes you're surfing Queens canoes. Nice. And it's Airbnb-able. So short-term rental zoned. And so, yeah, we got a bunch of stuff going on. Go to coreteamhawaii.com if you have any questions. We will eventually get to bragging about ourselves, these safe surveys that are our client testimonials, but for clients that are in escrow with us or heating up or just converted, one or the other, or one of those three. But first, so Kenny, I didn't really tell you what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But the topic is multiple offers. Yeah, I'm not really like a big preparation person. Let's just do it. Kenj, can you hear that? Yeah. That's outside. Yeah, he closed the door. Yeah, someone's alarm outside. Sorry about that for everyone. But yeah, so we listed a property, Mahi and I. Got multiple offers. I don't know if you have that footage up. Yeah, Kenj. I didn't prep you for it. The one from last week that we showed that we just listed. Anyway, but yeah, we listed a property in Ho'opili.
Okay.
Busy open house. Yeah. So busy open house. People wanting to write offers even before we showed it. So we are on multiple offers. Well over 2. So technically. Oh, we all over on that.
What is happening today?
Yeah. We're pros.
Not just me.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we're pros here with this content game. But yeah, so multiple offers. We've gone over. Business and more, right? Do your thing. But
I could play buyer's agent and argue that.
Yeah, go for it. But you would typically do that with a really strong offer,
100%.
right? Yeah, with a mediocre at best offer, you typically wouldn't like try and flex.
Yeah.
You know? if you,
Correct.
yeah. And so trying to force a response, which even still, I wouldn't do that, but whatever, you do you, boo boo. And Mahi with her hoarse voice just walked into the door. That's why she's not here now. What? Oh, and horse mouth. Yeah, yeah. And so that's just not how to play that.
No, it is not.
That's my point. Is that's just not how to play that.
Yeah.
And the other, I like local family. We'd love for them to have this house, but yeah, you already know where we're going. You don't do that. It's actually not advantageous to your client. I know you think that. So for you people out there, we had a conversation yesterday about multiple offers, our listings that we have, different listings. We've had I had multiple conversations, and there could be a time to ignore an offer that's incoming from the listing side. There could be a time not to ignore and be respectful. Always be respectful, but there could be a time to like slow play it a bit. Let them come to you. Hey, we're really anxious. Learn that they're super anxious. You have that leverage because you have backup options. You felt that they could come in a lot stronger than they did. So now you're going to counter offer them and extract more juice out of the fruit. There are times to not behave that way and give a lot of respect to this one offer you got because you're not in a position to, be a certain way.
Right. Same
on the buy side, right? Like there's times where you can say, hey, you're listed at 2 million. I'm coming in at, and it's a neighborhood where we know you're listed right about right.
Yep.
I'm coming in at 2.15. My clients really want this cash. I know you're going to wait till Tuesday. Respectfully, we like a response by today.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Can we work that out?
That's the scenario where you can be professionally aggressive.
Yeah.
Right.
Progressive.
There's something got skipped here that I'm curious about. Did he ever resend with an S? Did he ever actually give you the attachments that weren't there?
No.
Okay.
That's the other thing is we never got the attachments.
So
we got an incomplete
we
offer.
Would love to respond if we could, but you didn't. You sent an email body with nothing.
Yeah. So then you kind of sort of tantrum
give
me.
our seller a verbal.
Yeah. Like
so. Anyway, sorry.
Right. Because it could. Who knows if you're actually approved? I don't know who your lender is even at this point. All we got was the 14-page offer, right? And so, yeah. So that's one thing, and then another one. Another offer on one of our listings came in, and man, we'd love to see this family win. We really would. Now we, Core Team Hawaii, myself, Mahe, the whole crew abide by fair housing laws and do not show any preference based on gender, race, or any protected classes, right? Marital status, whatever else is in there. However, I'd love to see this family win. In my negotiating and representing the seller and their fiduciary, my fiduciary duty to them and their best interest in that process, we try to get one of the offers up a little bit on one of our listings. And I don't know that they can't. It's not conceivable, believable that they can't modify their offer in any way. Because when people tell us, when we're on the listing side and people say we're strapped, we can't go $1 more, I doubt it. Because you usually write offers in multiples of 5 or 10.
Right.
And so you landed on this multiple of 50. And DTI is a metric, debt to income, which you get to 49% or whatever.
Right.
I don't think it's that you can't. I'm concerned it's that you think I'm not serious, that we have a strong situation here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would hate for those clients to miss out because they seem to really want it. And I would hate for them to miss out if you could have done a little more, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're running the risk, right? It's a game of poker. We have multiples. Yeah. Please bring your highest and best. We would love the opportunity for everybody involved. And if there's a little bit more there, bring it back to us.
And I get it. I've been a buyer. Aiden's telling me, bro, you're going too low. You of all people, the team leader, you want this house and you're going that low. And I've been that bad buyer. So I get it. But for example, you have, say, a home's listed at a certain number.
Mm-hmm.
You have clients who look at it and their mindset is like when they go to Walmart. I go to Walmart, the spatula is $4.97. I don't pay a dime more.
Right.
They put it on the market for 1.7 million. Why would I write something more? How do you explain that to the client?
Yeah, I mean, it's simplicity is buyers want the most house for the least amount of money, and sellers want the most amount for the least amount of time and hassle. Right. That's the simplicity of it. But the conversation around competition is location, condition. If you're at an open house with your client, how many people are walking through that? What's the interest level?
Yeah.
And we're always paying attention to that kind of thing. And even if we're doing it virtually, or if it's a private showing, we look for all the little things. How many business cards are on the counter?
What if the agent just tells you, Kenny, we have 7 offers?
That's
and your clients are like, we love it. We're offering them the 1.7
Yeah.
they asked for.
Yeah. So
we love it, and we're giving them the 1.7 they asked for. What's the problem?
There's 7 other people that are probably doing the same thing, and now it's a matter of who wants it the most. And that's a harsh conversation to have.
Yeah.
But it has to be a part of reality, right? Is the conversation generally for me at the right point is, okay, you say you love the house. The numbers need to match your sentiment to the property. What's your FOMO factor, right? If you can comfortably go to 1.75, are you okay with that? And can you look back on the extra 50 and say, we won, we really loved the house, and it appraises for that number? Do you still feel you overpaid? Or
that's a good point.
What's worse, right? If you say, nope, we're not paying a dime over list, we love the house, but like, we're just no.
So when it comes to appraisal, something's listed at 1.7. If it appraises at 169,
right?
Did you overpay? If it's listed at 1.7, you get it at 1.7, and it appraises at 171. Do you actually have 10,000 in equity? I'll tell you, in our marketing, we love to say that, you have all this extra equity, and you kind of sort of do. It would just depend. But the only way you would know, the only way you'd be able to find out if you actually have that equity is you sell the house. And so it's a good indicator, but also don't let a slightly short appraisal be a bad indicator either. I just bought a home, and I was counting on the appraisal coming in low because my offer was too high. It was a divorce situation. The wife had her heels dug in. They were going to have to send the sheriff in there to get her out. And so we offered too high, and I was like, I hope the appraisal comes in low, so I have a point of negotiation.
Right.
And then if it goes to the courts, I will have been the person who, offered, and the appraisal came in low. The damn appraiser, excuse my language, NSFW, the appraiser appraised it at what I offered. It should not have appraised for that much. So my point is appraisals are an art, not a science.
Right.
They're subjective. Probably more so than they're objective, and it's just a number that another human gave you, and they're not God. So don't, the number, what it's worth is what you assign the value to when you're willing to put your pen to the paper.
Right.
And so they said 1.7. Well, guess what? The sellers don't determine the worth. This actually, as we're talking this through, this will be something we use to counsel our clients.
Yep.
You, Mr. and Mrs. Client, are acting as if the seller determines the worth of the house.
Right.
Would you feel better if an appraiser determined the worth of the house? Okay, well, good news. They eventually will.
And it's a protection for you as a contingency.
And the lender, right? The lender wants to make sure that you're not overpaying per house.
Correct.
But actually, you and the 6 others offering determine the value of the house. The free market in American, capitalism determines the value of the house. And so
what a buyer and seller agreed to.
Forget 1.7. That was, what if the MLS allowed us to list, which we'd never do, but I'll say if they allowed you to list the range, you'd never put your bottom line. You'd put your top. If you did that, you'd put your optimistic top line, and then you'd put something ridiculous.
Right.
And then people would still offer either at or under. And so buyers determine the values of homes. Sellers don't. That's an important thing. I don't think I've ever said that out loud.
Yeah.
But buyers determine the value of homes. Sellers do not determine the value, nor do real estate agents, nor do appraisers for that matter, because they appraise after the fact. The only time an appraiser determines the value of a home is when you're getting a HELOC or even a date of death appraisal for a trust. They appraise it high because that's the incentive. They want you to. So HELOC appraisals and how much you can get, how much money you can get out. That's really the only time an appraiser actually determines the value. The rest of the time, it's first the buyer. And then the appraiser comes in as part B to that, heavily influenced by the offer written. For example, the house that I bought, did you guys know? Leave us a comment if you're on YouTube. Shoot me a DM later if you're watching this somewhere else. Would you think that the appraiser gets to look at the offer? So buyer offers seller $1 million, $2 million, 1.7. Appraiser has to go out and verify and tell the Bank of Hawaii or whoever Pacific Grand Mortgage is brokering it to, yes, it is worth 1.7 or 175 or 165. But would you think that the appraiser gets to look at the offer? I would. If I'd never done real estate, I would think no. Like you would want them to appraise it, look at the offer second, right?
Supposed to be third party neutral, somewhat,
but they look at the offer.
Lender, and yeah, it's almost obviously apparent because at value seems to be the most common appraisal response in current times.
Yeah, that home that's at 1.7, if it gets an offer at 1.7, 90% of the time or more, it's getting appraised right at 1.7.
Right.
If that thing had gotten an offer at 1.67, probably get an appraisal at 1.67. Right. If it gets 1.72, it probably appraises at 1.72. Right. So while the appraiser is a part of the situation, by and large, the buyers determine the value of homes.
Seller gets to agree and accept the offer, but I think the buyer sets the precedent for sure.
Yeah. We got some questions in YouTube land, but first I'm going to read a couple of our safe surveys. This break brought to you by us. All right, so Mahe always keeps us abreast about the latest developments. Rodan, Aiden and I, they're very good, very professional, and very helpful.
I love the short and sweet ones because it's just like, thank you.
So they actually, they've been going for months and months, and they're actually one that their home appraised a lot higher. Yeah, and we are applauding them. Hey, you got, figurative locked in equity from the beginning,
right?
And a nice sizable credit
equity.
Yeah, we got a nice sizable credit as well.
Nice.
Unrealized is a good way to say that. Kenny is really good and responsive. I like that he sent me emails of places to look at. And that was terrific. Grant N.
Yes.
And then we gotta, I gotta take a minute to read this one. He's above and beyond. In fact, even if he's not my realtor here in New Hampshire, he's still giving me advice on how to deal with someone who's hard to deal with because he doesn't communicate well. So I asked him for advice. He gave me advice, and I ended up getting better results. Now, Kenny did not break any NAR ethics and step on toes, kept it neutral. But here is how you generally communicate and approach a business relationship, Jeremy. Did it the right way and got better results, even for something where we're not earning or, it's really nothing to do with us. But it is our client. So, yeah, great.
Thank you for that, Jeremy.
Great feedback from the team. Shout outs to who closed yesterday?
That was the Emersons.
Yeah. Shout out to the Emersons who closed yesterday. Yeah, we got it's interesting. June to July is our busiest time this year, which kind of makes sense. But the thing is the last 3 to 4 years, our busiest time was the spring. Mm-hmm. I think a Trump presidency has caused some people to stall and wait and maybe just made things a little different.
Yeah. The environment, I think, was filled with general question and concern around all the decision making of a major purchase, right? Or a move. Some people just have to moving for work, things like that. But spring was different this year.
Spring was different,
to say the least.
Yeah. All right, what questions do we have there?
So just a couple of shout outs. Stephen Camacho, how's it? Is it called gazumping from G?
Gazumping.
Yeah, not sure. Maybe that was all the different noises or something? Is she responding?
Is it called gazelle?
No, that's
What?
I googled it.
What is
Okay.
gazelle?
It's like when the seller increases the price, or
Oh,
I'm sorry, I googled it.
Okay.
you googled it. Okay. Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Soy sauce boss, thank you. We love being your favorite realtors. Appreciate you watching. Question.
The sellers need to be
Yeah.
looked after, not the buyer. I'm not sure what response that is,
Yeah.
but yes, our fiduciary duty is to the sellers. And so
Yes.
part of that would be getting a good, very excited, very committed. I love this home. Good, strong buyer who maybe their agent doesn't understand the nature of an aggressive situation and didn't guide them to like offer higher. And then maybe they get the little bit of FOMO of like, hey, you're going to lose, bro. You're going to lose. And so do you want it? And then they go, oh, here's 50,000 more. That would be us acting in our seller's best interest, assuming that 50,000 ended up being the highest offer. Right.
Right.
And so I doubt that I disagree with you, but yeah, we certainly look out for whoever our seller and buyer is. There was a seller recently who said, oh, so the types of buyers in this neighborhood aren't serious because of, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, that's what I tell my buyer when they're buying in this neighborhood, but we speak nothing of that because I'm your seller's agent.
Right.
All right. What's Puffkin say?
Puffkin, any thoughts on Keolu at Koa Ridge? Is this a smart investment? If this is not be your forever home, can you rent out the home after a period of time under the affordable home restrictions? So my thoughts on Keolu at Koa Ridge. I love Koa Ridge. We've got a current client in there for a single family home. It's very central. It's a great area. So just general thoughts on Keolu compared to other reserved price homes and affordable housing scenarios. I think it's probably going to pop off really well.
I think it will as well. Affordable doesn't mean cheap necessarily because lumber, labor, etc. is still very expensive. Right. So even the most affordable home in Hawaii is not cheap, if government subsidized.
Right.
Is it a good investment? That's such an individual. It's hard to know. Like, what is your situation? I'll give an egregious example. Is your situation that right now you can't afford much, but in 2 years you get an inheritance? Like, is your situation that, you can't afford a lot right now, but your late father's home is in probate, and when you get it, you'll come up on 500 grand or something. Mm-hmm. Are you just a regular 9 to 5? You're a teacher and there's no other way to get into the housing market. So it just depends.
Sure.
In general, I think Waipio, Koa Ridge, and Castle and Cook homes have always proved to be good investments in the long term. And so I'd want to like sit down in a consult and actually unpack your situation to tell you whether it's a good investment or not.
I agree. I don't believe so. My understanding of this, and it's certainly we can send you more information, but the rumblings around this is that there's not going to be a 5-year buyback, and that it's just going to come generally with that 1 year primary occupant affidavit. That's pretty normal in new construction. And so I could maybe just tease and tickle the idea that it might be a little better investment than some other affordable things, but that needs to be verified. This is still fresh. They just started releasing information on it. And would love to just Puffkin 90 fill out a contact form at the bottom of the website, and we're happy to answer more questions, get you more information on it. But yeah, I'm just echoing what Derek said. By location, by popularity, by build quality, Koa Ridge is a smart investment. It really, from there, it's 100% case by case. What's your individual situation? We'd love to have that conversation with you. And
I actually have to verify. So I apologize. Mahi, even though I'm team leader, etc., Mahi ends up doing most of the Koa Ridge stuff. And I got to verify, is it HHFTC or is it the other one? Like, is it 8 or 10 year buyback? Is it 5 years that you can sell? Is there a cap? So on the two different affordable like government subsidized programs. One of them, you cap at a certain amount. So
Right.
as the home appreciates, say $500,000, the cap at which you share that appreciation with, it's capped. There's a ceiling.
Right.
But then on the other one, it's a percentage indefinitely. So even if it goes up $1 million over the next 20 years, there will have been a percentage tied to that.
Right.
And so I have to verify. I apologize. I don't know. And I wasn't prepared for that question. The licensed real estate agent should be the appraisal seller's agent. Should do the appraisal seller's agent. No. Well, here's the thing, G. What is my incentive? I always say, show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. Now, for me, I think our team is the best in terms of doing the right thing, regardless of the incentive. However, there's a $2 million home and there's commission tied to it. And the buyers offer $2 million and the sellers need $2 million to make whatever happen. They've leveraged the house. They've taken out HELOCs and refied, and there's no meat left on the bone. It has to sell for $2 million or we don't have a sale. We're looking at short sale or foreclosure. If I'm the appraiser, it's coming in at $2 million, homie. You know, like
there's some bias in that.
What am I going to say? No, it's not worth $2 million. And so that's why I would not, if I were in charge of making policy, I could, if the agents who have an incentive to make money were the appraisers, it would be even much worse than if whether the buyer or the seller's agent, it would cause so many problems. Having a third party appraiser is not perfect, but it's better.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they weren't allowed to see the offer and had to set a value for the home.
That makes it more third party and neutral, and it would, in some ways, I think would be better.
What do you think? I think on average deals would come back high. Because let's say a home's worth $1 million and it's around $1 million and the appraiser has to appraise it and they have no idea what was offered. Throw a little fluff on it. $1,030,000 because that's probably at least good enough to get the deal done.
Right.
And the buyers are happy. Sellers, it'll start to become known that sellers and sellers agents are like, don't worry about the appraisal. You didn't lose out on money. It just always comes in high. That's how that would go. So yeah, as appraisals are an interesting thing. We'll see how AI affects them over time.
Do licensed realtors know maybe more about the actual value based on data than an appraiser?
You would hope not.
Access to the same data, and that's what their practice is day to day. So I don't know. I mean, I will say that an agent on the listing side where I was representing the buyer, we just did an appeal through the VA on a Tidewater, and we did get the appraiser to come to value, to at value. It was a little low.
So to Kenny's question, do we as agents know more than the appraisers? In some instances, we have a perspective, an angle, or an understanding that the appraiser doesn't, because to them, they haven't been a part of the process. Like the seller hasn't walked them through and said, hey, you see how you can sit and have your coffee and look over the mountains. Like it's just really special. And the seller hasn't met the neighbor, or the appraiser hasn't seen how the kids play on Sundays after church and how that would assign a value and how that was happening at the open house. But so do we know more? Sometimes. But the other question is, would we be biased all the time?
All the time.
Yeah, that's why we're not the appraisers.
Whatever's best for our client by rule, that's what we have to do. Right? So not just biased because we have something against appraisers.
Yeah. How do you know? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So this is from Hurev Garage 94. How do you know the appraisers are giving false appraisals? Is there a correlation between falsely raising the appraisal of homes to increase the value so homeowners pay more in property taxes?
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
The property tax division has their own people that do their own sort of appraisal, and almost always your home's Hawaii or Honolulu County property value, tax assessed value, is lower than it would actually sell for, almost always. Now, there was a period of time in like 2023, carrying into 24, but like the 2023 year, homes had been tax assessed in the first part. When did they actually do the assessments? I don't know, like in the first part of 22 before the market shifted. And then those markets get assigned for the 23 year.
Right.
those values get assigned for the 23 year. And so when you have a shift in the market, so a $2 million home or a $1 million home goes down 10% in value, but it was tax assessed before the thing, before
the market shift,
China bombed Taiwan, or before Trump bombed Iran, or before
rates went from 4 to 6.
Rates went from 3 to 6. Yeah. And so in a rare case, your home could be tax assessed too high and there is an appeal process. But most times I know I can sell your home for more than it's tax assessed for typically.
And there are some states, and I would maybe ask a question back to Hareb Garage 94. Some states actually set property tax on the last sale price. And that is not the case here in Hawaii. California does that, right? A property tax assessment and an appraisal are two different things. It's a very similar process, but two different things. Property soy sauce.
Was there another part to that question or comment?
Is there a correlation between falsely raising the appraisal of homes to increase the value, so homeowners pay more in property tax? Again, that's the whole question. How do you know the appraisers are giving false appraisals? Is there a correlation between falsely raising the appraisal? Appraisals and property tax value are two different things.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, well, the appraisals that we're talking about happen in the markets, right. For buying, selling, banking.
In the midst of an escrow to verify with the buyer's lender that the amount that the lender is going to assign to the loan is accurate.
It's not like I wonder if what you're thinking is like you offer $1 million, the home is appraised at $1,050,000, you close at $1 million, so you're contractually obligated to $1 million, and that's what you close at. But because it was appraised higher, you then have a higher tax assessment. Those two things don't talk to each other. The appraisal for the buying and the selling and the HELOCing is never, like, the state and the city is never privy to that appraisal. So that shouldn't affect things, but the general market and market value does. So they tend to, I find that I don't know. I bet you if we pick 10 random properties on average, the tax assessed value is somewhere like 5% below the actual market value. So like homes that I could sell for around $1 million are probably tax assessed somewhere around $950. But it depends on the city. There's different humans attached to different sections and assigned to different sections for giving the assessments. My client that lived on a hill in town, Sierra Drive, her tax assessed value was pretty high in comparison to what I thought I could sell for. But then sometimes I see ones that are tax assessed at 1.1, and I'm like, or I look at one that sold at 1.4 and it was only tax assessed at 1.1. So those people had it good, so it really varies. We're going to answer a couple more questions or respond to a couple more comments and then get out of here on this one today.
Okay. Ken, did you see Soy Sauce Boss?
What do you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got like
I see a couple of comments. Okay. Soy Sauce Boss. It's weird because I just got an appraisal letter for this property I bought less than a year ago, and it's appraised at less than what it was on the market for. I paid cash, less than the listing, but I didn't think the county would base it on what I paid.
No, actually, because what you paid is, remember we said earlier, if you were here. If not, go back and listen to the first part, please.
Yes.
The buyers determine the value. What it's listed for is nothing. In fact, what if we could list properties and there was no number assigned to them, And so, what you pay for a property, if there were nothing but cash buyers in the universe, and what you pay is literally the value to the penny of that home in that moment, because there wasn't someone that would pay more and the seller didn't get less. And so that's the value. And so the property tax assessment would heavily consider what you paid for a home. In fact, unfortunately, I just overpaid for a home, and I bet you my property tax assessment is going to be too high. Maybe I'm going to appeal ahead of time to the property tax division and let them know, like, bro, I overpaid for this house. Like, put my property tax down. soy. Let me see.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was Soy Sauce Boss.
Yeah.
Soy Sauce Boss. Unless I don't know your YouTube name, can I ask you, why did you not use us? I meet people all the time. There's another YouTuber who I connected with, and he's like, "Oh, my wife's family has their like go-to, and we watch all your videos. We got a lot of information, all your information, but like my wife's auntie is the agent." I met another guy who he stopped me and he's like, "Hey, you're the guy, right?" And ended up using someone else. And I could tell there was like this, shoot, I definitely would have. I just maybe just do that call to action more and tell them to come to go on the website. But we do that a lot, but maybe it becomes what's the word, like diluted, or like just another thing we say. We're just normal people, reach out to us. We are attainable. Doesn't mean that we're like avatars. So it doesn't mean that you like build us like a PlayStation character. So it's like, well, my ideal agent would never sleep. And if at 2 a.m. I have questions, they're answering. Or my ideal agent would be able to, out of thin air, create a listing that's worth $1 million, but I can get it for 800. Or doesn't mean that we can make, move mountains, but we certainly do a great job for our clients that are super skilled and obsessed. Yeah. Soy sauce. Oh, I'm on the mainland. Okay. I'm not on Oahu yet. Okay. So, hey guys, still love y'all. Sit in stillness. Who is Sit in Stillness?
HNL SF01.
I'll be calling you guys ASAP.
Above that.
Yeah, above that, right here.
This is why I've picked you and your team, albeit our inheritance was stalled back in December 2024. Once that hurdle is done and over with in Seattle. All right. This is why I picked you and your team. Have you already connected with us? I paid cash, less than the listing. So you know what, too? Trust me, I'm plotting. Soy Sauce Boss. I don't know what state you're in, but an interesting thing, I was writing offers a couple of years ago in Nevada. I was looking to buy an investment. And it was interesting to me. The home that I was like buying for, I think around like 600,000, it was a fourplex. I never bought it, but it was a fourplex. It would have housed like basically like homeless people. It was a program where you could buy these fourplexes. They basically house people just off the streets. I mean, just off the streets. And it's like a version of like a Section 8. It pays more. It has more backing. It seems like crazy investment, but it was like I could feel good about it. At the same time, I could cash flow better, and I was very interested in it. It never happened. But $600,000 place, I forget, but it was tax assessed for like 80 grand or something. I remember it being something crazy low. But remember, that's also arbitrary, because if in Hawaii, I never thought about this. Hawaii has the lowest property tax rate, right?
Yes.
The lowest property tax as a percentage.
Correct.
But what are our tax assessments at? So if another state has double our percentage, but one, real estate's cheaper to begin with, right, and they tax assess. So if Nevada tax assesses properties at 80 grand when they're worth 600, is the effective tax rate a lot lower than ours?
Yeah.
Right. And so,
well, no, we in the past have used like, I think it's Alabama or
Mississippi. So Alabama's second.
Low percentages, and also low price points.
Right.
And
then what if they're low assessments on top of that? What if that $150,000 Tuscaloosa house is only tax assessed at 30 grand, Right. So I've never really thought about that. While we do have the lowest percentage, what are the assessments? Same with California, right? If California is very expensive.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But if you're grandfathered into the old purchase price that your mom purchased it at, they might be effectively better off than being in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
That is interesting.
HNL?
Where is Joe NDA?
Yeah, I saw that question just popped up.
All good. We missed Joe's question. If there are multiple offers on a home, can the buyer see on? Oh yeah, I saw this earlier. Yeah. Sorry, Joe. If there are multiple offers on a home, can the buyer see on paper the highest offer on the home? Well, so Kenny's shaking his head no, but they technically could if they write an escalation clause The escalation clause verbiage is something to the effect of, we will go higher than your best offer by $1 grand, $5 grand, $1, $1 million, whatever. We'll go higher than your best offer by X, given that you show us pages, 2, 12, 13, 14, whatever. Here's the things.
I'm trying
Just
not
because
to cry right now because I had to write my offer on my house like that.
You did. So here's the things. One, listing agents don't like to see it. We don't like to see those typically, but I don't get so offended as some agents are like, the audacity of you to write me that clause. Like, actually, no, the audacity of you to be offended.
Right.
So we don't prefer to see that, because here's what I'm going to do. You've showed me your cards. You've showed me that you're willing to go up. What I'm going to do is just counter offer you now.
Yep.
You've showed me your cards. I've been able to look behind the door. And so now I'm going to counter offer you at a higher number. And I'm not showing you the other offers, because here's the thing too.
Right.
The highest offer doesn't mean it's the best offer.
100%.
If we have 2 offers on a home, we listed the home at $1 million, and one offer comes in $1,050,000. And this is a neighborhood, Eva Beach, track home. We know it's probably not going to appraise at $1,050,000. Like, they all sell for $990,000 to $1 million. An offer comes at $1,050,000, 0 down, VA. It has to appraise. If it doesn't appraise at $1,050,000, my seller's not getting the $1,050,000.
Yep.
It's all contingent on the VA appraisal and the lender being able to grant $1,050,000 to the buyer. And if the appraisal doesn't come in, we have no deal at $1,050,000, especially if the buyer has no cash. But then another offer comes in at $1,025,000, but with 500 grand down. So appraisal is not even an issue anymore,
right? Because
the loan amount can be achieved. If putting 500 down, the loan is only 525. Appraisals are not an issue. They might not even order an appraisal. There's times where the lender doesn't even says we don't need one at this point. And so, can you see my offer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Probably not. Can your agent write a clause that requests to see it? Sure. But intentionally in this free market, we're keeping you in the dark.
Right.
And the Coast Guard there is saying, please, at home, if you have children, mute it for the next 10 seconds. Okay, go. And the Coast Guard there's saying, feed them shit and keep them in the dark. There's our enlisted talking to officers. Feed them, crap and keep them in the dark. And that's when I'm your listing agent. If it's advantageous for me to do so, then that's what we're going to do to the other buyers to get them to the right price, right? And so, as your buyer's agent, we will work to have communication with a listing agent and seek as much transparency as possible. But by general rule, details are not supposed to be disclosed until a transaction is recorded and closed. The escalation clause is the kind of the kicker, the caveat there. Yeah. Because when we wrote our offer, it's 4 years ago. I can't remember how many. I think there was at least 5 or 6 offers. This is middle of COVID, well, back half of COVID, early 2021. And we wrote an escalation clause. It was $2,500. We weren't going nuts with an escalation clause, but just enough to hopefully catch the seller's attention. And we ended up getting the home without activating the escalation. So it was sort of a gesture, sort of almost like virtue signaling a little bit. But some sellers, not just the seller's agents who have an adverse opinion of that tactic, some sellers themselves, they're the same seller. So the sellers who, when they bought, were like, it's listed at 1.7, just sell it to me for 1.7. Why is there any conversation? Right. Like, it's like Walmart. I buy the spatula for $4.97. Right. Those are the same sellers that when they were buyers, they acted like that. So when they're a seller, if someone gives them an offer that says, well, I'm offering you $1 million, but I'm willing to go up to $1,050,000. If you have higher offers. Yeah. They're like, give me the $1,050,000. Right. And they're offended by that tactic. So
listing agent's perspective is just bring your highest and best. No, don't play around. There's multiple offers on the table. Bring your highest and best.
Yeah. In rare cases, we would. Here's the thing: if you want to call us and that's just a tactic that you want to use, in the end, it's your offer. What I'll say is I'm going to advise against you doing that in most cases because it just doesn't work out well.
Yeah.
If we feel you need to offer more for this, offer more.
Yeah.
If we feel we can go for the seller's throat and get you less, then let's do that thing. But
there's other good ways to approach a strong strategic offer than an escalation clause.
Yeah. HNLSFO1. So we got to get out of here. They said they greedy. That's why, in my opinion, for the appeal. Who I'm not sure who's greedy. Sir, we have spoken on the phone. I live in Oahu, but work in Seattle. We're currently on an NDA while the trust inheritance is being appealed by the other party. And then G says that you're waiting for me to call. If we hadn't talked, it's rare that our system breaks down and you came in 3 months ago and we haven't talked. If we haven't, I wonder if there's something unique about the situation, but feel free to contact Charlotte, my assistant, again, and we'll vet it. If it's not the right timing to talk, it could be that we protected my time and schedule. I mean, in rare cases, in certain situations, we will do that. But if you go contact us on the website, and Charlotte would reach out. Yeah. Ethan, what's up, Ethan? Oh, soy sauce boss. As soon to be a transplant, I can tell I'll be picking Kenny's brain, hopefully sooner than later. There you go.
Looking forward to the chat.
That's how it goes. When you come into the funnel, we come into our team. If it's like, Mahe is my number one, I'm a girl power, then we make sure you're working with Mahe. If you're like, Kenny's my guy, I love his perspectives, Kenny's your guy. Myself and my assistant usually do a pretty dang good job of making sure that we're all matched with the right people. Whether it's me and Kenny, Aiden and Mahe, Aiden and I, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
In super rare cases, Kenji might even chime in.
Mm-hmm.
Super rare. Probably like they speak Japanese or something. Yeah.
We would need you for that, Kench.
Ethan says, so one of the many listings that we have recently is Ethan's. And Ethan says, I wish I had the strategy of Core Team Hawaii when we bought our first home. I've learned so much. Thanks, Ethan. We love you guys, bro. Where is Joe? Thank you. I'm in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, nice.
Where is Joe NDA? All right, guys, we got to get out of here. Mahi and Aiden are already planning going over some other things, so we got to get with them, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Aloha, guys. And if you're on other platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts, etc., make sure to give us a 5-star review and comment and all that stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, this won't be on there right away. It'll take a little while. So, but we're going to start posting. What is today? The 1st? July 1st?
July
already. It's July 1st, 2025. Our content assistant will probably be posting our first podcast today or tomorrow. So the intro to that podcast on those platforms will be up with 1 or 2 episodes here in the next couple of days. All right. Aloha, guys.
Shoots.